This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming the beautiful, the talented Mary Regan. Mary is an Australian actress. She was in the New World Pictures classic rural melodrama Hard the Stag. I love this movie and we're going to talk about it today. I've been wanting to talk to somebody from this movie for a long time, and I've been trying to find her forever, and I finally found her like a month ago on Facebook, and we're finally making it happen today. I am so friggin' excited. And she's also been in some other Australian cult classics: Sylvia, The Year My Voice Broke, Fever, Belinda, and she's worked with past guest Brian Trenchard Smith in Out of the Body, which was a TV movie. And it's going to be a great conversation today. I am just looking forward to this. I am so excited. It's been a tough couple of days. My mom's back in the hospital again. This time she broke her foot, right in the middle of the night. And then she had a procedure done the next day. And now, fucking, God, now she had a heart issue and her blood pressure is just super elevated. And, they had to, work their magic, so to speak. And so I ask everyone out there to please keep my mom in your prayers because I love her. She's my everything, and I want her to come out of this just fine. And I know she'll come out of this just fine. She always does. She's one of the most amazing people I have ever known in my life. So thank you, everybody, for me venting on that right now. So yeah, here is my interview with Mary Regan. Hey Mary, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm actually slightly nervous. I've not done this before.
Yeah, I have met a lot of people who haven't done this before, and I want you to know I thank you so much for coming on today. I promise it won't be too painful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, be gentle with me.
So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
Um, in my fantasy, I possibly did, but I grew up in a very, very small town in New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact had no idea that anything like that was a possibility over there. Um, in fact, right into my adolescence, I didn't know it was a possibility. So I used to have, I guess I was creating very early reality TV. I did, this sounds terrible,
Mm-hmm.
so egotistical. I used to often go through my day pretending there was a camera on me. So I guess that does show fantasies of performing.
Yeah, like George Orwell's 1984.
Yes, exactly. Not nearly as dark, but yeah. So it was actually a year in high school in California that kind of cemented the idea in a way. In 19, without putting years to it, I spent a year in high school in Salinas, California.
Wow.
And I come from a very small girls' Catholic school. There were no drama. The closest I got to the idea of performing was the debating team. Um, and so I joined, drama and loved it, really. And then when I went back to New Zealand, I was 18. I still had no idea it was a possibility, and I heard there was a drama school. And so, yeah, so that was it. I
What?
just gave it my best shot.
Why did you live in Salinas?
Do you know AFS scholarships?
Oh yes, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I know it very well.
Yeah. So I went there on an AFS scholarship, and I have to say, the old thing, I left my heart in San Francisco. I adored San Francisco.
Yeah.
Adored it. Yeah.
it was
beautiful place for you to grow up.
it was beautiful back then. Yeah, now it's so different. It's really really sad, but it was a beautiful place. Um,
Yeah.
my stepmom is from New Zealand. She's Tongan.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Was she born in New Zealand
Yep.
or
Born in.
okay.
I think she may have been born in Tonga, but raised in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of Pacifica um, nations people in New Zealand, especially north, like around Auckland area, but maybe everywhere now. I haven't lived there for 40 years.
Yeah. It's crazy about how the Tongans migrated to New Zealand of all places.
A Pacific country. I can't remember the exact government policy back then,
Yeah.
but Samoans, Niue Island, lots.
Right. So you go back to New Zealand. Did you attend college?
In New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
or university, as we don't have the thing of college is like a high school, we'd say there, high school or college, sort of interchangeable. But I did go to university in Wellington, but doing a kind of generic arts degree, but I actually dropped out in my first year. And then the following year, I went to drama school. The drama school I'd heard existed, and it did. It was called the New Zealand National Drama School. It was quite new. I
Mm-hmm.
think I was in one of the, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth year intake. I can't quite remember. Very new. And that was 2 years. Yeah, I did that. Which I loved, I have to say. I loved it.
Yeah. Did you do any?
But,
Did you do any theater that you're proud of over there?
I guess so. This is all such a long time ago. Um, yes, when I left drama school, I guess all the early stuff I was proud of. I did plays in Wellington and Auckland. There was another theatre company in a provincial city called Wanganui. In a way, it was more just so exciting to be performing. Did a lot of a period of quite, what would you say, self-devised, group devised, under a very exciting, unusual, creative person. Actually, that's probably the most proud stuff. We did a lot of self-devised, also turning plays on their head. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof was one that we did. He just did the most enormous shows, shall I say, that didn't look like anything I've ever seen since.
Yeah. Did you do any Shakespeare?
No, only ever at drama school. So no, no, never did. I've had a very my career is what I'd call a jobbing actor, basically.
Right.
Back once upon a time, you could earn a living. There were things like radio drama. Did a lot of radio drama just to make ends meet. It's a different story now, I have to say.
Oh yeah. It's a different business.
But no, nothing so highbrow as Shakespeare. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a completely different business now, and like people who left it, they're like, I can't believe how much has changed.
Yeah, well, I actually officially retired about 3 years ago.
Right.
Because I was just kind of over it, and it was bringing me more grief than joy, shall I say?
Oh.
Yeah. But the industry has changed. It's really impersonal in comparison. I also felt like when I started out in New Zealand, it was so kind of fledgling, and New Zealand actors were not first choices to be cast. There were no protection. We would get Australian actors over, and that was supposedly exciting. So I was part of where we fought for our rights. We fought for respect. We fought, for the industry. And I feel as though I've just having seen that all kind of erode in the last few years, and a kind of lack of respect now that certainly hadn't been there. And maybe I'm an old Luddite, but I just thought I don't need that anymore.
So how does Hard the Stag come to you?
I was thinking about this the other day. A chain of events. A filmmaker moved next door to me, and being young and bold back then, I went and knocked on his door and said, "You're a director. I'm an actor. I live next door." And then, amazingly, he cast me in a short film. And as a result of that film, he cast me as a lead in a feature film called Strata.
Right.
And then, so those early days were kind of easy. I had no auditions. And then Michael Firth, who was making Heart of the Stag, he saw Strata and just offered it to me. So it was easy back then.
What did you think of the script?
I don't want to be a downer on a podcast. I thought it was pretty terrible. What did you think?
I loved the movie. That's why I wanted to talk, because I used to see it on my video store shelf when I was a kid, and I never like picked it up or looked at it. But then when I was 20, I saw it again and on the shelf, and I was like, I want to rent this movie. And I was like, wow, this is a hard-hitting, taboo movie, and it seems like it comes from a real place. I mean, do you know, like, what the origins of the story was?
No, look, I actually don't. And I don't know if it was just a kind of idea Michael Firth had
Mm-hmm.
uh, as a hard-hitting story. See, I've watched it again. Thank you for sending me the link, because I hadn't seen it for 40 years.
Yeah.
And I just do feel like the topic was taboo back then. And, well, it's sort of taboo in the action of it. But we also were so kind of naive in our understanding of it, I think, which to me was reflected in the film. Seeing it now, a very kind of straight, or it didn't really, I don't think it really explored. It was used as a device for melodrama, I guess, is when I saw it the other day.
Right.
But I felt like it. I mean, it was kind of it was the heart of the story, but I felt like it didn't really look at it particularly.
That's interesting. Bruno Lawrence, he seemed like he was a sweet guy, was he?
Oh, wonderful man. Wonderful, wonderful man. Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah, he did a movie right after this called The Quiet Earth that I love.
Oh, right. And prior to that, he'd done a film which really established him called Smash Palace.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of big time in New Zealand at that time.
Yeah.
And he'd been part of an amazing travelling renegade musical theatric made crazy TV stuff called Blurter. And they'd just travel the country in a big bus and just stop somewhere, unload their stuff and start performing, in the middle of a park.
Mm-hmm.
They were inspirational.
Yeah, I reached out to his daughter last year. I didn't get a response back yet, but I have a lot of respect for him. I think that if he had lived longer, he would have been an international star like a lot of, New Zealand, Australian actors like Russell Crowe and Heath Ledger and all those character guys did, because I don't know what it was. By the late 90s, early 2000s, New Zealand actors were breaking big in America.
Yeah. Not as big as Australians, but I do periodically, I'll see, what am I watching at the moment? Can't tell you. Oh, no, I stopped watching it. North to North. Set in Alaska, supposedly a kind of lightish series, but one of the main actors is from New Zealand. So it's kind of like not huge famous, but they are getting around. They're getting around. Not like the big names like Kate Blanchett or Russell Crowe
Oh,
or
yeah.
Rose Byrne or some of the Australian ones, I don't think. Except Flight of the Conchords.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. What was Terrence
Yeah.
Cooper like?
Honestly, he was, no, not as gruff as in I didn't really gel with him.
Okay.
But he was English to start.
Yeah. He was British.
He was just a sort of blustery. It's so hard for me to kind of remember. He did one day say to me,
Mm-hmm.
"You and I don't like each other very much, do we, Mary?" And I hadn't really thought I hadn't liked him. I just felt like we were very different people.
Well, it
So
worked.
he obviously felt it as well.
Well, it worked good for the characters.
Yeah. I mean, yes, no problem there at all.
But he was such a great actor. He could be charming or menacing in his characters, and it's certainly he could be both in this character that he plays.
That's right. That's right. Um, yeah, and I've kind of forgotten what a good voice he had.
Yeah, very good voice. How about Anne Flannery?
Look, I mean, I've known Anne, but I have to say, not very well.
Mm-hmm.
But lovely, a lovely woman. But her scenes were done really very short period of time. I can't remember. So on set, I didn't have the load to do with her really. But that was the other, in terms of the the theme of the film. One of the flashbacks when she comes to the door when pre-stroke
Oh yeah,
opens the door and sees what's going on and closes the door again. And when I watched that, I was actually shocked. I'd forgotten about that, and I just thought that wouldn't fly now.
yeah,
Or the mother would be seriously looked at as to why she was so, why she'd abandoned her daughter.
yeah. I mean, she is so convincingly crippled in this movie, and the way she
Oh,
slurs. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
I have to say, watching her as once she was in the wheelchair after her stroke, I thought, yeah, her attempts to speak, I just thought were, like you say, completely authentic.
Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, that was a challenging role. I also like Michael Wilson, who plays Jack, the other farmhand. He is so good. His character is such a straight shooter, and he knows dark secrets, and he makes you wonder why he's there. But he's almost like comedy relief in a way. And I like how he tries to detain Cooper with the whip, but he fails, and he's drunk.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
he Michael Wilson was actually terribly famous in New Zealand also.
Mhm.
Um, the little um, kind of candy, I'll say candy, we'd say lolly, um, called, do you have Tic Tacs in the States?
Oh yeah, they're very popular.
Well, these were not Tic, they called Tic Tacs, something else. Anyway, there was a commercial that, and a series that ran forever, and it was somehow to do with Tic Tacs. But basically Superman comes to save the day in all these scenarios, and Michael Wilson was called Captain Hotshot, and he was this skinny, kind of nerdy, very funny Superman character,
Yeah.
and he'd save the day with Tic Tacs. I think it was Tic Tacs in the same packet anyway, and he was very well known, very recognisable all through the country. So
Wow.
he was very actually a naturally comedic person.
Yeah, very funny guy. So I can imagine you were probably uncomfortable doing the nude scenes.
Um, I don't even remember. um, when I watched it again, well, in that I was really mostly kind of covered. He was just on top of me, pounding away.
Right.
No, I took it in my stride, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I don't remember being. Yeah, I just somehow coped with it. No, I wasn't like, look, and it was closed set stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, intimacy people like they have now, of course.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was fine. It was actually, I don't remember it being at all bad.
Yeah, my favorite scene is when you and Bruno are on the boat and he jumps off the boat to make you laugh. It's such a sweet scene. And then, of course, it's interrupted by him trying to innocently make a move on you and you resist. And then that's when he first, gets the first glimpse of what's really wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, again, thanks for sending me the link to the film because I'd forgotten that scene. And yeah, one of the things I kind of liked about it was it just really took its time. The conversation took its time,
Mm-hmm.
which is often things are so plot narrative driven
Right.
in contemporary stuff, I think. Um, but it was just actually, yeah, I enjoyed that, I must say.
And the locations on that farm were beautiful. I mean, was it like, do you remember what the weather was like?
I think the weather was mostly good.
Mm-hmm. Was it
New
some?
Zealand doesn't rain all the time. Um,
Uh,
it was on a farm. It was someone's farm, and we used their house as the location of the major house. And actually, the whole shoot was a lot of fun because they set up a caravan city in a field in a paddock, and we were just there. And there was a big barn where we had all our meals. It was very, very sort of social in a way. And we were just there out in the countryside for, I think it was 4 weeks. Um, but yeah, the farm was very beautiful. Mind you, that's New Zealand.
yeah.
New Zealand's very beautiful.
Have you ever been back there since?
Oh, yes, frequently. Um, well, because my parents um, and of my four brothers, I should say, two of my four brothers live over there. My parents, my mother died just before COVID. My father died, God, early 90s. Time flies. Um, but I used to go a lot, at least once or twice a year. And I've
Nice.
only been back, didn't go during COVID, of course, and I've only been back once. Things do change, of course, when you don't have your new parents, which was, to visit, but I still have friends there, close friends, still friends with people I was at school with.
That's wonderful. When the movie finished, did you guys have a wrap party and a screening and all that?
We certainly had a wrap party just there in the big barn,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to think when the screening was. I That all happened in. I think the big screening was in Auckland. I was in Wellington,
Mm-hmm.
and this sounds terrible. They omitted to invite me to it, and I didn't actually know about it, so I didn't go to the cast and crew screening.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, the
Yeah,
movie.
it is. I found it weird at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was purposeful, but no. I think it was. I don't know. I don't know. Total thoughtlessness.
Well, the movie got released here in the States on New World Pictures, and it did well on VHS. I don't know if cable ever played it though, but it's a lost gem of Australian cinema, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Or New Zealand cinema.
or New Zealand cinema. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a.
Oh,
It,
that's look, I like it that you love it so much. Actually, do you know Quentin Crisp?
I know who he is, of course. Yeah.
Yes. Well, he wrote a book called Quentin Crisp Goes to the Movies, and he reviewed about 20 films in the
Hmm.
world, and one of them was Heart of the Stag, which at the time amazed me. So what is it? There's actually the opening of it, I must say, because what's his name? Leonard.
Malton.
No, I actually wrote down his name. Leonard, the guy who did the score for it.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He did East of Eden and Rebel Without a Cause, and he did a million films.
Yeah.
So it really had that very with his score, that very, it's like kind of gothic melodramatic kind of 50s.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could see it in that sort of genre.
It's like a nursery. It sounds like a nursery, that music with the wind chimes.
That's right. Which is obviously ironic in terms of that. But yeah, that did turn it into a sort of 50s melodrama for me when I was watching it this time around.
So after that movie, you worked with Michael Firth again on Sylvia. How was that experience?
Yeah. Look, always great. Had a cast with 3 English actors.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what can I say? I felt much more. I felt it was a much better film for me to be involved in, basically. So I felt good about it. And again, I was kind of astounded to find myself in those situations of being cast, to be honest.
Eleanor David, I remember her from Pink Floyd's The Wall around that time.
Yeah. I know. I don't know what she's doing now. I looked her up recently, on online, and I couldn't kind of find much. But she was gorgeous.
Yeah.
They all were. Tom Wilkinson, of course, went on to do
huge things.
Huge things, yeah. Huge things. Talented man. And oh gosh, what's the other actor's name?
Nigel Terry.
That's it. Nigel Terry was. Have you ever seen Caravaggio? Derek Jarman's.
I probably have.
Derek Jarman. You've seen everything, haven't you?
I've seen a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was Caravaggio, but he did, a lot of great stuff. And he was, they were a wonderful group of people to work with. We weren't out on location for that, so we used to have dinner every night together in restaurants around Auckland, and it was good fun.
Do you still talk to Michael Firth?
No, he died.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, 11 years ago now, 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. But I hadn't had contact with him in a long time.
Oh. I see you did the Year My Voice Broke. That I used to see that movie on Showtime here in the States. That movie won several awards.
I think that film's wonderful. I just had a small role in that as the teacher. But I saw it again maybe 5 years ago. And I love, sometimes you see a film and then you see it many years later and think, oh, I hadn't realised it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I found that with Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
I saw it at the time. And then I saw it maybe 10 years ago and I was just blown away by it. Again, the dark themes, the interesting stuff, the stuff to do with religion, to do with, being a man, or the kind of level of violence in it, what was happening to the girls. I'd sort of forgotten all that because it's just so crowded up by the fabulous dancing in memory, the disco. And when I saw it again, I was just amazed by it.
Yeah. How about Making Fever?
That's another sort of, what do you call that? Low budget thriller. Was it a thriller?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Again, you kind of, is what it is. I think the director actually had he had a huge font of knowledge in terms of film and its influences and thrillers, and he had a lot of stuff that he felt like he was referencing, I think, but I really didn't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I saw it in maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And again, put it in its place, time passed.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought it had something going on for it.
How about making Belinda?
Belinda, that was exciting. Yeah, that was exciting, actually. Yeah, I felt like I hadn't been here that long.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just felt kind of an amazing thing to have occurred to be cast in that. And it was, as well as everything else, it was just so much fun putting on those, feathers and makeup, and yeah, I'm not sure what to say about it.
Well, I saw the trailer. You looked really good in it, in those feathers and everything.
Yeah, it was hard work. I mean, I'm not a dancer. But yeah, so not that it was complicated dancing, but so there was a lot of work, with a dance teacher, choreography, all that kind of stuff. I can't remember how much of that ended up in the film. But interestingly, it was supposedly the last showgirl club in the Cross. And where it was based on is moments from where I live. I live very, not in the CBD, but really almost like the next suburb over, which, as I live just around the corner from the red light district, which was, but it's all died. It's all kind of died now, but there's still, it's still rough, shall I say.
Right.
And parts of it gentrified and becoming more gentrified every day. So I actually live in the whole, in the area where that film is set.
You worked with Brad Davis in the Rainbow Warrior Conspiracy. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Brad became like a playmate. Yeah, I actually, one point when I travelled a holiday to the States, I stayed with him and his wife, Susan, and Alex, who was only 5 or 6 at the time. So became close with Brad, I'd say. Yeah, we wrote letters and things, as you did in those days. But of course had seen, Midnight Express and Purell and Breast, so it was actually kind of a big moment for me to meet him, to be honest. And in fact, when I first met him, he'd suggested we meet and have dinner because we were going to be working quite closely together. And I thought, yeah, great. And I was staying in a different hotel to him, and I got a phone call from the lobby saying, Mr. Davis is downstairs to meet you. And I came down, opened the lift, he had his back to me, and my knees turned to jelly.
Wow.
And I felt like such an idiot. Tried to brace myself, walked up, hello, Brad, all friendly, went out to the car, and he was talking, and I actually couldn't speak. So I just thought, I've got to break the ice here. I've just got to tell him what's going on. So I told him what was going on and said, I hope by voicing this, it's going to cut through it for me. But yeah, I'd never had that. It just shows what fame does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, most people remember him from Midnight Express and Chariots of Fire, but I think because he died of AIDS and he died so young, like he's largely forgotten, and it's sad. He was a gifted actor.
He seriously was. I mean, I can remember him on the cover of Time magazine. he really made an impact at the time, didn't he?
He did. I mean, he played Sally Field's boyfriend in Sybil. I remember. He was just a
That's
talented
right.
guy and just so underrated. It's sad.
He played Robert Kennedy in a miniseries too, like way back. Can't think what it was called, but
Huh.
yeah,
I gotta look that one up. Yeah. Wow. That's just amazing. At least you got that time with him.
yeah, I do. I mean, and I do kind of again. Time goes on, but yeah, I do treasure that. I did like him a lot, a great deal, and we did. We became, like I said, we were sort of became playmates.
Then you worked with our mutual friend Brian Trenchard Smith on Out of the Body. Was that fun to do?
It was, and he's a very fun man, isn't he? Do you
Yeah.
know him personally or just through? Um,
Just interviewing him, but he's a man who just talks so pleasantly about things and people and stuff, and I could tell he has a good heart.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't seen him in many, many years, but as things are, we're Facebook friends, so I kind of see what's going on with him periodically. But yeah, and that film was just unashamedly what it was. It was a bit, a low budget horror, and and he makes no bones about what he does. In fact, I looked him up yesterday,
Hmm.
just in terms of his body of work, and he was always famous for The Man from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Um, but I couldn't believe how much he's done.
Uh,
Prolific,
oh
just
yeah.
prolific.
I mean, I love Dead End Drive-In. I think it's a thriller masterpiece. I love the Leprechaun sequels he made, and it's just yeah. I mean, he's a craftsman at doing low budget films.
He absolutely is. And I can't give you the exact example, but I just one day on set, it seemed like it was kind of a big scene, but we really ran out of time, money, and he can just. I remember being kind of impressed and astounded that he could just say, "Right, we won't do it. Move
Yeah,
on. Not going to do this."
yeah,
Didn't hang on to stuff,
yeah,
which I think is a very brave thing to do. But he obviously was just so used to being, I think, very pragmatic.
yeah. I think that's what makes him a good filmmaker.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned before about retiring from acting. Was the pandemic the reason why?
It almost was. I'm such an old Luddite. Doing look, and also my career really hadn't come to much. I've always had to, have other jobs,
Hmm.
um, and in the end, I was just doing bits of TV and commercials.
Hmm.
So it was really just a way of making money or getting money, and all the self-taping with self-taping auditions, I hated with a passion.
Yeah,
And even for, say, film roles, you no longer got a script to read, no director, um, and I'm not very good with technology either, really.
yeah.
I found the whole thing stressful, and especially with commercials, they gave you very little notice, and I was working. And also, instead of being called actors, we were really being referred to as the talent, which again just filled me with rage.
Yeah.
I think talent, warm prop is what I thought. And I just became, and notices for auditions and things all come through, what is it, Central Casting or Casting Something, which is just an
Hmm.
app that they all use everywhere across the world. And so you get, an email, oh, you've got an audition. And instead of thinking, yay, I just think, oh, God, yuck. So I realized it was time to stop.
Yeah, it's a self tape is so strange and so impersonal. I just know so many people who hate it. I mean, there are some auditions that are happening in person now, but it's very rare.
It's a cheaper way of doing it.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Once COVID stopped, many places just carried on with it because cheaper. My son is now, I don't know, I didn't make it look difficult enough, I think. My son graduated drama school 2 years ago.
Nice.
But he grew up with the self-taping idea. So for him, it's quite normal. So he has a whole different attitude to it compared to me.
Wow. So he's loving the self tape and all of that.
I don't know if he loves it, but it's just the normal way for him. It's what you do.
Yeah. So is he doing like lots of on camera stuff and theater and all that?
Oh, not so much. It's only been 2 years. No, he's having a. he's he's a struggling actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some theatre and again some commercials is what's been going on for him, and so he also has another job.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think you'll come out of retirement, maybe even do a play again?
Oh, I don't think I'm thought of anymore. I would only do it if it dropped in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And no, all honesty, when I do go and see theatre, I actually think, oh God, I'm glad that's not me up there. So I'd say the answer might be no. But look, you never know.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that so many actors, they're born actors and they will die actors, even if they leave the business for a little while, they come back.
Mm. I guess you never say never, but I never hit that kind of strata. I think, like I said, I just don't think I'm thought of particularly. That doesn't sound. I don't feel bad about that. I feel very happy not acting, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that you played, at least one, really good part in your career?
Yeah, one really good part. Oh, do you know? Oh gosh, it's hard to say. I find it impossible to look at myself. So when I see things, I feel kind of cringy. Probably it's been the theatre that, in a way, I've felt playing better parts.
Yeah.
Like that production I told you, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Or I think I've always just been incredibly self-critical. That's a bit harsh, isn't it, Tommy?
Well, I mean, I think we all are. I mean, even I am. I mean, sometimes I walk away from interviews going, God, did I do a really good job? Because there's a part of me that thinks I didn't.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of the human condition. We're all self-critical. We're not our biggest fans.
No, we're not. No, it's perennial. And then also to be self-critical and to be, sitting in a theatre watching your big face 1,000 times bigger than it is,
Yeah.
coming at you from a screen, it actually can be kind of sickening, to tell you the truth.
Hmm. Well, I think you did a great performance in Hard the Stag. I'm surprised, people who have discovered it in recent years haven't sought you out to, like, be like a guest speaker for, domestic violence, things.
Well, that film doesn't really. But actually, it's interesting you should say, because I'm a big podcast listener.
Hmm.
So I'm going to start listening to you now. I listened to your one with Philip Mora.
Yeah.
But quite a lot of stuff I listen, not everything, a mixture, but I certainly listen to podcasts in terms of that material, or in terms of screwed up relationships, shall we say, or kind of abuse,
Yeah.
high, um, high control groups, cults, religious cults
Hmm.
that might have been growing up in the Catholic Church, I think, set up a fascination with that for me. So it's certainly an area that absolutely interests me, or I keep on exploring, shall I say.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted you to know, you're probably going to laugh at this at first. I saw your belly button in Heart of the Stag, and I noticed it's not only beautiful but very, very deep. And I read an article years ago that said that people who have deep any belly buttons have a tendency to be more generous and more caring and giving than most. And
Oh, if only I'd known that years ago. Oh,
well, I think that you saying yes to this interview is definite proof of that, and I thank you so much for coming on today.
well, look, thank you for getting in contact a few times because, yeah, I could easily have just thought, yeah, I'll get back to him and never do it. But it was that last message he sent me
Oh,
that just hit me, and I thought he's a good man.
thank you, thank you. I try to be a good man, and this journey I've been on for the last 10 years, let alone my whole life, has just been fantastic. And the fact that I get to interview people that I've watched on screen throughout my life is just so profound. And I'm so glad that we got to talk today. And I hope you take good care of yourself. And I'll see you on social media. And yeah, feel free to
Yeah,
listen.
indeed.
Feel,
Thank you so much, Tommy.
y-
Okay.
yeah, feel free to listen anytime. I have a wide range of different interviews.
Yeah, I'll put you on my start following.
Awesome. Awesome.
Great.
You have a great day over there. Be safe.
And you have a good evening, Tommy.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye bye. Well, there you have it. Mary Regan, ain't she a sweetheart? Oh my God, what a great lady. What a great conversationalist. And that is so trippy. She went to high school in Salinas, California. I know Salinas very well. I mean, I'm from the Bay Area. That is such a trip. It's amazing how she lived there and she never once lost her accent, her New Zealand accent. That is so, oh my God, amazing. And I'm so glad that she said yes to this, and we had a nice little chat there. I just enjoyed it immensely. And if you haven't seen Hard to Stag, go watch it. It's a fantastic, underrated film. Even though Mary is self-critical, I can tell you, like at first glance, it is a fantastic, fantastic film. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.